Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Um, Election day is come and gone. Let me also remind you all counts are not final. So on some fronts, I need people to take a deep breath and relax. We're working under projections right now. The counts must be finalized. I'm not saying this because I think that some miracle is going to come out and change the presidential election. I'm talking about the down ballot elections, and some people are kind of jumping the gun on those right now. So let's not do that. Also, before we really get into this conversation, I want you to keep in mind that just because the election has passed does not mean the disinformation, the misinformation, and the outright lies are going to stop. Um, Before the beginning of this podcast, I left a webinar because the last couple of speakers were going into that disinformation, falsehood, propagandized bullcrap. That's not going to do anything for anyone now nor moving forward. And I want you to realize it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because disinformation, misinformation, and outright lies gives people a coddling. It keeps them in their echo chamber. And people think, just like they think of rumors and gossip, like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt that person. Yes, it can. And what this is going to do is give a green light and an open door for a political shift we are not prepared for and what we have never seen before. Because the more you lie about what the government can and has been and will do, they're going to start doing it. They are going to make truth sayers out of you. And because people love to belong, to feel a sense of belonging and don't want to act as if they're not in the know, they'll go, oh yeah, I do remember this. This is always going on. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. And it's finally time. It is finally time to admit, those of y'all that did not want to vote for Madam VP Harris, that it was misogynoir. That you believe that if a white person isn't leading, then nobody should lead. Because still holding on to and spewing easily debunkable and previously debunked bullshit about her is doing what at this point? Is doing what? World leaders are speaking up. And they're clutching their pearls because they know what's to come. BB from Philly is happy because he doesn't have to worry about going back to trial. And Trump's like, ooh, I ain't got to go back to trial. So you have two actual criminals running two countries that could decimate the entire world right now. Let me also say this. White women, stop apologizing. And I'm not saying this because you know who I'm talking to. I don't need hit dogs hollering, and I don't need people differentiating themselves. You know who I'm talking to. Stop apologizing because your apologies mean shit. Don't sit here and say, well, I didn't. I don't give a fuck. If you want to show yourself to be a good one, uplift some voices. Uplift some voices. Stand in the in between right now because all year long, when the anti-blackness and the misogynoir was at an all-time high, y'all didn't say shit, and this is why shit is still going the way that it is right now. This is your time to shine. This is your motherfucking time to shine. This is time. Go get all the costumes, do your makeup how you want, go get your hair done, because I know that's how y'all like to protest. This is your time to shine. Round up all of your inner Karen, your inner Richard, all of it, and get to going. Get to asking to see everybody's manager in comment sections in real life. There you go. But stop fucking apologizing. Stop saying it wasn't you. Because the next one that I hear go, it wasn't me. It's not all of us. I'm going to just start calling all of y'all Shaggy. If you know, you know. And in that song, please stop using that sound on TikTok because in the song, he's lying. So if you're using that sound, to me, you voted for Trump. Next on the list, to the subset, let me repeat, the subset of pro-Palestinian protesters that are yielding and wielding anti-Blackness, believing that that will move the pendulum further and that that will give them a seat at the table to help their Palestinian brothers and sisters. I'm going to need y'all to shut the fuck up right now. You have attacked us. You have doxed us. You have told us we ain't shit. You've told us you don't give a damn about our oppression over here. You done told us all sorts of stuff to put you at the top, as if there isn't also a genocide in Congo and Senegal right now, but you don't give a fuck about that. Although the people in Haiti are going through it, but you don't give a fuck about that. While we've been out here trying to educate people well before October 7th of last year. You don't give a fuck about that. But now you getting pissed because people are like, hey, you don't have a problem with me sleeping in my bed and being killed. You don't have a problem with none of us getting proper medical attention. You don't have a problem with none of this. And we're like, and people are like, you know what? I'm going back to drink the Starbucks. I'm going back to doing this. And now you're saying that those are the trash people, that those are the despicable people, but you didn't think anything of it when you were intentionally putting additional targets on Black bodies. I don't want to hear shit. I don't want to hear shit. Because please tell me now what your concept of a plan is now that you have somebody who sent a representative over to meet with BB from Philly and everybody else to talk about real estate development on what is currently Gaza. You really think a real estate developer who had the peak of his career in the 80s before a series of bankruptcies, who only had one true successful building that anybody credits him for, this is his time to shine before he kicks the bucket and y'all just open the gateway for him? You just gave him his legacy and you just set out to eliminate your brothers and sisters. Because those settlers, those Irish settlers, those Israeli settlers over there, what do you think they're going to do? What do you think the end goal of a settler is? Newsflash, I can tell you, living in the fucking United States. Look to the right, look to the left. And for Arab Americans and recent Arab immigrants that are like, you came over and you did this to my government, so I'm going to do this to your government. I'm going to destabilize your government. Your one vote didn't do that. But please riddle me this. You fled from your original country to come here to seek asylum because the United States military industrial complex fucked up where you live. None of us deny that. None of us deny that. And none of us are in agreement with it. But we can't do anything about it right now because you motherfuckers can't unite under shit to get shit done because it makes you uncomfortable. You couldn't give up a fucking Stanley Cup. So you come over here and you have some semblance. I'm Black, you brown. Some semblance of freedom, some semblance of safety. And you want to turn this country into what you fled from? Please make it the fuck make sense. Please make it the fuck make sense. So who's going to be the white knight to come and save everybody? Because what political power do we have? What is the negotiating chip that we have? What is the negotiating chip that we have? Because you don't want to be here in the United States. You want to go back to your home country, which I understand. Nobody want to be here. Nobody want to be here, okay? If we would have left shit to the Native Americans, then yes, it would be a great utopia. We could come, we could follow their rules, do all the stuff. But no, okay? The white settlers came over here, shit's fucked up. Okay, we know you don't want to be here. We know you don't want to be here. So what you gonna do? You can't go home and you're gonna make it unlivable for yourself here. You're on that roster of people that this person you just handed. You just gave him a fresh box of tissue for his ultimate wet dream. So where's he going to deport you back to? How did your destabilization plan work out? And a high court just blocked today. Just blocked today. I just read it 20 minutes ago when I got the notification that, hey, guess what? Recent immigrants, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, they will still deport your ass. They just may or may not choose to deport your U.S. citizen spouse. But if you're not deemed one of the good ones, you're out of here. And let me break down to you historically what one of the good ones wasn't. If they feel that you're not educated enough, and you might go, but Taz, I was educated here in this country. Ding dong, baby. Why do you think that they've been doing certain shit and they want to eliminate the Department of Education? There was a heightened level of illiteracy within this country once, and they weren't letting people in that couldn't read at a level that citizens here can't read at. The citizenship test here, most natural born citizens couldn't fucking pass. There were times previously that if you didn't have a skill set that they determined necessary within the United States, you couldn't come in. But you know who was always welcome? Former Nazis. Former Nazis. And given that they're so stuck on their great replacement theory, if you pop out enough kids, you're at a certain age, they don't want you here. These are things historically that they've barred people from gaining citizenship. Self-hating, bitch-ass Ron DeSantis, his grandmama, the reason why he's in the country, got through by the skin of her skin. I kid you not. I kid you not. She was not educated enough, but the law passed just shy of her getting in. So she was one of those gray area people, and she just laid low long enough to plant her seed and then fly away. And for those of y'all that are like, no, it didn't have anything to do with her being black. It didn't have anything to do with Palestine. He was just, a woman in power. I don't know. But you're not complaining. You didn't complain when Sarah Palin was a VP pick. You didn't even really complain about Hillary Clinton being a woman. You just felt that she was unqualified because her husband cheated on her. The fuck? Anywho, but nobody's up in arms. Nobody's up in arms that for the first time in U.S. history, because I told y'all this was going to be a history-making election, regardless of how it went, we finally have the first female chief of staff. Yeah, Trump appointed his former campaign manager, Susie Wiles, as his, and they're praising it. Oh, yeah. Do you know what a chief of staff is? Do you? So let me put it to you like this. Trump is the GM of the team. Sissy is the quarterback. And, well, I voted for Trump because of the borders. Immigration is a problem, but you're still out here buying Teslas. You still out here screaming, yeah, Elon Musk stands behind freedom of speech. The bitch is an illegal, undocumented immigrant. A whole bunch of baby mamas whose daddy gave him half siblings via his former stepsister. You heard me. His mama is a raging, out and about, open racist that was even tweeting racist shit up until the wee hours of election night. Well, I don't want voter interference. I want my election and my vote to count. So why are you high-fiving Elon Musk, who is willing to pay people $1 million? And don't say, well, it was a raffle. No, because it came out that those winners were already pre-picked because they had the right look to be the face of this intimidation campaign. And then back to the immigration thing. Well, if you're not born here, like only one of Trump's wives, well, we should stop birthright citizenship or anchor babies like Trump and one of his children. Actually, Trump and four of his children. Four of the five would be considered, well, I'm sorry, three of the five would be considered anchor babies. One is a birthright citizen birth, and one natural born parent. Well, one natural born parent, yeah. Yep, she is the one that organized the relief fund for Tennessee. And Tennessee, nor any of the organizations down there have seen a lick of money. And the last time I tried to check, a lot of organizations aren't even. I think if you don't have a phone number with their area code, they're not picking up for us anymore, which I understand. Because she did put out a statement listing certain organizations, and then that list went away because they're like, we didn't get anything. But it's like it's time to stop. Just stop lying. Here's the thing: if you're to believe something, believe it with your whole heart. Believe it with every part of you. Stand firm on that belief. If you have to lie, then that's not really what you believe. You know that that's wrong, and it makes you feel some type of way. And if you feel something is wrong and you're not comfortable being boisterous about it, being public about it, you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, why are you standing behind it? Why are you tiptoeing behind it? And all of you that think that you're safe, that you're not in proximity to these things, I want you to realize that throughout history, when they've had these deportation movements, people who could trace their families back to generations on this land were deported. Trump has determined who his enemies are. It's not about legalities. It's not about being in wartime. It's not about protecting board. It's not about any of that. It is about Trump eliminating from this country everyone that's made him feel insignificant. And this doesn't have to be on a personal level. Everyone that he cannot compete with, everyone that has the potential to make him look small. For the first time in US history, we know that we have a convicted criminal in office. That's known. But for the first time in the history of this nation, being the nation that it is, we have a commander in chief that nobody wants to be the commander in chief. That generals of different rankings have said they cannot, in good faith, follow his commands. We could be looking at a potential mutiny at the beginning of the year. And these are things that people are not paying attention to. You have high ranking military personnel that don't want to sit on his cabinet. Any and everyone who is even slightly qualified does not want to be a part of this administration. And I still stand by what I have said all year round because I have sat back and I've watched. I know the history, I've watched the body language, I've watched the wording, I've been reading all the books that have come out, I've watched all the interviews, I've read all the tapes, and all these people that were formerly in Trump's sphere or trying to get into Trump's sphere, they all have kept evidence as a get out of jail safe card, as a Uno reverse. The GOP is done with Trump. what their next move is, because they were not planning on this. They weren't banking on this. This is why they had that Titanic KKK rally at Madison Square Garden. They were like, you know what? This is our last hurrah. Let's just say how we feel and we'll regroup for the next election. They did not realize that him saying the most heinous shit would cause this to happen. This was not in the playbook. Because if this was in the playbook, trust and believe, JD Vance would not be the second in command. There is no plausible way to have a functioning, viable cabinet with Trump as commander in chief. There is no clear unity within the Republican Party. That is why so many pundits are now coming out trying to convince you that it is now the downfall of the Democratic Party. It is not. This is not the first time that the Democrats have lost. This is not the first time that the Democrats have lost on such a large stage when everybody was like, hold on, wait a minute, the momentum was going this way. How did this happen? We saw it with Hillary also. This does not mean the demise of the party. The Democratic Party isn't the one that's splintering right now. Thousands of Democrats weren't coming out to the RNC throwing support behind Trump. Let us not lose focus on the actual facts. Like, why do you think that they're trying to convince you that you're falling apart? What administration could we have? Because there's not even enough qualified people within the Heritage Foundation that they could give up to fill the positions that Trump would need filled and keep the Heritage Foundation going. Because during this time, remember, the Heritage Foundation needs to work on their next mandate, because every 4 years they put out a mandate and they have other stuff that they do in between time, in the meantime. So please, where is this phenomenal administration going to come from? And how are they going to pull all of this stuff off? And before you go, but they already have judges here and judges there. A handful of fucking judges across all of the judges that exist on all of the levels across this land is going to do what? Because you don't have overwhelming backing of the military, so martial law is out of it, because these generals have unequivocally said, hey, all my years of service, and I'm not going to shit on POWs, MIAs, and the retired. I'm not doing this shit. I'm not doing this shit. Where's the cabinet going to come from? Who could he possibly appoint to the UN for us this time around? Because at this point on the global stage, if you look at all the global leaders that are coming in with what they have to say, who the fuck is going to tank their entire reputation to be like, yeah, Trump picked me, I'm qualified? Yeah. Because there's already been an administration to show you it's either jail time or no more money ever if you join this bullshittery. And we know the Republicans, they're going to protect their coin no matter what. Because Mitt Romney, he didn't retire because my moral compass. No, because you could have spoke up and that could have saved your moral compass. He wanted to keep that money coming in. He could put out a few books, lay low for a little bit, come out with a few tell-alls, all of that good shit. But now that the panic has set off, where is this administration going to come from? And while you're figuring that out, and you want to be mad at white women, when are we finally going to be mad at the men that consistently lie? And I'm talking beyond the hoteps, as I like to call them, the no-teps. You know, the ones, yeah, you know, I'm a feminist at heart. I got the women's back. Yeah, I understand why y'all chose the bear. You didn't vote that way. You didn't vote that way. And the women in your life that are actually in your life, you don't treat that way. And don't criticize just the women married to or dating the Trump humpers. Because whether you like it or not, all of us have to take inventory of the men in our lives right now. All of us. Because two things can be true at one time. Yes, overwhelmingly, white women did what white women are gonna do. They were gonna white woman. They were gonna white woman. Because in their mind, they're living in a movie and the credits are about to roll, and then they get to move on to the next movie, and this shit will reset and they'll be untouchable. Okay. But there are a whole lot of men. And if you look at the numbers, all these posts all over social media, yeah, I'm voting to protect dads for Kamala. But at this point, we have to be honest, and we have to be honest, and we have to take the rose-colored glasses off, and it's time we get our eyes checked so we can see the red flags. Because I think too many of us have become colorblind, and mind you, I'm not differentiating myself. That's what I'm saying, us. Because as always, no matter what I tell y'all, I'm doing the same thing. I am taking inventory. Because there are far too many men that really would enjoy just having control over the rest of us, because then they could force us to for them to be kept. And one other big fallacy that I see swarming around that I want to address. Stop with the don't blame the third party voters. They were only this amount of percentage, blah, blah, blah. First of all, let me explain something to you. There are a lot of people who, just like with the uncommitted movement, all those people were committed. All those people were registered to major parties. Let me repeat. All these uncommitted, I'm a third party, they were registered to major parties. There's always a way to skew statistics. There's always a way to hide in plain sight. And the rhetoric got out to people. There were people that were joining up for a common cause. So yes, they did. And do they have a plan for moving forward? Absolutely not. Just like the Jill Stein voters, Jill Stein supporters, they're going to get real quiet just like she is. And then they're going to pop back up in 4 years. She's the way to go. She's going to save us. What did she do in the past 4 years? What has the party done in the past 4 years? And why isn't the Green Party of the United States united with the other Green parties globally? Because that would help propel up. And for those that are like, I'm tired of the two-party system, newsflash, the United States was not built on a party system, period. And nobody ever said we had to have a two-party system. We have historically had multiple parties at once. Y'all just only scream about a two-party system when it comes to a presidential election, when you're caught between a rock and a fucking hard place. But don't like the current party, major parties, look into the parties that currently exist. There are grassroots parties all over the place. There's even regional parties and more. And get involved, establish yourself, and stop waiting for the presidential election to pop out. Let people know who you are, what you're about, and start putting people in places, starting from the fucking school board up. You heard me, from the school board up. At least while you can, because evidently we're not going to have a Department of Education. Y'all didn't listen to or hear nothing about, well, for the next 4 years. The fuck you mean? Trump supporters believe that if Trump got back into office, the next person that would be in charge would be Baron Trump. Hitler was voted in. Quite a few people were voted in once. And because of lies, disinformation, misinformation, All sorts of shit was swept up the rug, and then you woke up one day like, damn, those are our laws. Oh, we don't get to do that anymore. We don't. But I thought that was just for them over there. Oh, when you said you wanted a dictatorship, that means you rule over all of us. All of us. All of us. Now, see, everybody keeps saying that his cabinet is going to be full of loyalists. Where are the loyalists? I want y'all to think about something. And I'm not being facetious here. Trump doesn't have and has never had loyalists. His children aren't even loyalists. His wife isn't even a loyalist. He had opportunists who bought into the caricature that Mark Burnett created for him. Because people forgot just how raggedy and clamoring for success and socialite acceptance he had going on before a Celebrity Apprentice. And there are people who really bought into, ooh, I can have some power, ooh, I can have some money. This is why nobody had a problem jumping ship. Everybody talks about how quickly he fired people from his last administration. I need people to really start paying attention to the history that's unfolding in front of our eyes. He didn't fire as many people as y'all think. More people quit. More people ran for the hills. That's why after his presidency, we had more tell-all interviews and books than we've ever had regarding any other president in history. And y'all, we had some doozies as some presidents throughout history. He doesn't have any loyalists. And there's really no one left that his mafioso brain self could put into place. The best that would happen would be the talking heads of the Heritage Foundation implant people like they did the last time in the last administration. But they also learned from the last time with his last administration that he can't be controlled. So it doesn't matter how many people they put in place, he is going to either drive them to the point where their integrity is on the line, or after he gets out of office, they can't go back to their cushy lobbyist jobs at their lobbying companies up in DC, because a good chunk of the Heritage Foundation, they're lobbyists. They work for lobbying firms. They need to be able to go back to those jobs. So there's only so far they're going to go. And the previous Trump administration showed, hey, you're either going to lose money or go to jail. And I know that the media likes to throw out the term loyalist, but nobody's loyal to him. The reason why we've had the trials we've had thus far is because people have kept text messages, emails, have recorded him, had surveillance footage on him, because they know he ain't shit. They know he's going to break the law. They know he's going to do some fucked up shit, and they don't want to go down with him. But the people who were the most willing to do it, they can't. They're disqualified. They're tanked. Mike Lindell can't do it. Rudy Giuliani can't do it. Flynn can't do it. Meadows can't do it. The people who were willing to go until the wheels fell off because it was lucrative for them, and because Trump loves to take credit for shit, and they were like, fine, I'll do the dirty work. You gonna take credit for it? Sure. They can't. They're either co-conspirators, co-indicted, in prison, bankrupt, or everybody already knows that they're a fucking liar. And on the global stage, he doesn't have anyone who could be trusted and has any type of international relationships that would be beneficial. Best thing I could think that he could do is look at who he beat out for the GOP nomination and put them in the cabinet. If they would agree to it at this point. Because on the global stage, if they have any aspirations to move forward in their political careers, because of everything that he said about black and brown individuals, women, immigrants, etc., these people would have to be willing to tank the rest of their lives' reputation for a position they may be able to fill for 6 months. They're the ones destroying the country, but they don't want to believe it because these are the same ones that are still trying to tell us that they built the country. Like, motherfucker, you couldn't survive the first season that you stepped onto this land. You didn't even know how to cultivate the soil. But yeah, okay, yeah, sure, you built it. We remember Roanoke, motherfucker. And see, this is also the problem. Trump has convinced people that non-flattering media to him is fake news. That, oh, they're so liberal and they're so left-leaning, but every bit of media in this country gives Trump more credit than he deserves. Because the whole loyalist tagline, they're not talking about his cognitive decline, not talking about the fact that he is completely underqualified, not calling out the hypocrisy of his fan base, because I'm not going to call it a voter base, because they're like, well, we prefer career politicians, not celebrities talking on politics. But Trump is a reality star. But he's here to drain the swamp. He's not qualified at all. Well, he talks plain to the common person. Okay. He said that y'all dumb as shit and he loves him. No, 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 no. Let me translate that for you. But I thought he talked plain. They don't discuss that. They give him so much leeway. Just like I had been for a while trying to cover the assassination attempt. Now all of a sudden there's no talk of it. It took a podcaster. And no, I'm not shitting on podcasters because obviously I have a podcast of my own. But I'm saying that we shouldn't be taken at the same validity, or we shouldn't be asking questions that legacy media isn't. It took a podcaster, most known for conspiracy theories and bullshit. Hey, Joe Rogan, loved you with the MMA stuff, but to ask about his ear. To ask Trump about his ear. So, adding to the list of, if you want to be pissed off, like news media, I can't believe we got here. You helped us get here. You saved all the hard-hitting questions for Kamala Harris and you snowballed questions to Trump. This is why you had people so confident, and people were like, oh yeah, she can't answer our question. She's so ungrateful. Oh my God, look at Trump. Look. This is what we've been going through. See, disinformation and misinformation doesn't just come from a fucked up social media post, a crazy video that you see somewhere. It is diabolical, and it's bits and pieces everywhere you go. Where you think you're getting something that's unbiased, but it's not unbiased. Because even in my coverage of the presidential debate between Trump and Harris, I called Harris out on some of her questions on an interview that she did. Once again, I'm going to call everybody out. If you're going to put out rhetoric and bullshit, I'm going to call it out. If an answer is unnecessary, I'm going to call it out. And for everybody who says you could not vote for Harris because you felt that she was transphobic, because when asked about a policy from the Trump administration, she said she was going to follow the law. Also regarding treatment for trans patients, she said, I'm going to follow the law. You goofy motherfuckers who don't pay attention to shit. And I really wonder how you get through a doctor's appointment and protect your own medical records. didn't catch what she was saying. It is between the doctor and the patient what that patient needs. It is the law to provide services depending on if you're going to a hospital. Y'all do realize gender affirming care is not, let me repeat, is not designated to the trans community. You get a scar on your face and you feel like that doesn't make you look masculine or feminine anymore, or if you're androgynous, you get that fixed, gender affirming care. You decide you want to go get your hair done because you want to look a little bit more this, that, gender affirming care. You unfortunately had to have a mastectomy or a double mastectomy, but you just don't feel like yourself anymore. So you go remedy gender affirming care. You decide, you know what, I don't want to keep doing my eyebrows. So you go get your eyebrows permanently tatted on, gender affirming care. Saying that you are going to follow the law. Y'all act like y'all fucking doctors and bill coding specialists until it comes down to the fucking facts. Y'all will research your third grade boyfriend's grandma's best friend's mole in the center of her back, but you can't research the shit that actually affects you. Doing a proper boycott is too difficult and too complicated. But if your french fries are the wrong temperature at the local Red Robin, you have no problem invoking everybody on the internet to go leave them bad Yelp and Google reviews. You can't look up shit that is pertinent to your life and livelihood. But if you think somebody is too uppity on the internet, you must go and find out what grade they got in kindergarten and where they were. Y'all know more about your child's third grade teacher than you do about your child's curriculum or your own pH balance. Because I'm still stunned at the people that are like, they're teaching this in school. Barbara Ann, isn't your child in the 6th grade? Are they teaching that? Are they teaching that to little Martha Mayhew? Well, I don't know. Well, once she got past the coloring, I just didn't pay no more attention. And finally, this is why I say history is important. History is important. Okay. Join one of my classes. Join one of the open discussions, and I'm being dead ass serious. Because those of y'all, they're like, and they vote. This is why we need a test for voting. This is what. Who do you think they're really going to test? And previous voting tests didn't make a lick of damn sense. At this point, it makes about as much sense as the ACT and the SAT. Because what's the point of taking the test to get into college when at the end of the day, they just want to know, is the check going to clear? Catch what I'm putting down? Or the little whataboutisms. Well, what if this would, it's already been done. It's already happened. Please stop. It feels like the first time to you. It feels like the first time to you because it's the first time for you and your community. The rest of us, it's been happening. Also, please stop referencing works of art. Okay, we're not going into the Handmaid's Tale. We're not going into the Hunger Games. This is not Return of the Jedi. This is part of the problem. Y'all are getting into this like, I'm the main character in the movie. I'm the main character in the book. It's not a fucking book. This is real life. You're not a Handmaid's Tale. The Handmaids have already been here. We're just black. You motherfuckers was just arguing about the straightness or gayness of Gambit from X-Men a couple months ago. Shut the fuck up. Don't metaphors and connecting things together. The Paideia way of thinking, the Paideia school of thought is not for you. That has been shown, tried and true. Keep it very, very simple. Okay, just deal with real life as it is. Deal with real life as it is. Stop pulling things from the realm of creativity. And art imitates life. If you want to reference something, look up the life that that piece of art is based on. Like I told people earlier today, stop saying Handmaid's Tale. Stop saying Handmaid's Tale because you know they're going to go from wanting control over your bodies, white women and white femme presenting individuals, white uterus bearers. They're going to start experimenting on you next. So you want to know what you can say that we're walking into? White women becoming Henrietta Lacks. White women experiencing medical apartheid. Those are some works, y'all. You want to say that? There you go. So please excuse me if I'm a little snippy for a while. Please excuse me if I don't have the grace that I normally have for a while. Because while y'all are feeling it because of an election, and you're generally feeling it from one side, you feel like black people are hurting your feelings because we're holding you accountable because we're tired of your bullshit. I want you to imagine something, okay? I want you to imagine being talked to and treated like you're stupid or like you are continuously a child by men of your own community. I want you to imagine having to get up every day and reprove your strength, your intellect, your everything to everyone virtually that you come in contact with all day long, every day. I want you to imagine fighting and struggling to make sure you stay alive and then looking to the right, looking to the left to make sure the other people around you also get a chance to stay alive. I want you to imagine having to squash your own mental health issues down to make sure somebody else doesn't break. And that isn't the day that somebody casually finds their 13th reason. I want you to then imagine trying to educate people so that we can get out of this dystopian Groundhog's Day and you being called everything but your name. And put all that into a package that at any given moment somebody could make up any type of illogical bullshit lie about you and they will run with it and people will grab hold of it and distance themselves and add on to the lie just because you were black and a woman living in the United States. And every time something fucked up happens in this country, you have so many people that want to kick you off the fucking planet coming to you to fix it and getting an attitude when you're like, whoa, this is too much. I need a moment. Now, with all of that, imagine that with no days off, no PTO, no relief coming in, no nothing. Until you've had to spend the day taking care of everybody else and you lay down in the bed and you're not the only one in the bed and you cry yourself to sleep uncomforted because the world is taught that you are the strong one and that everybody needs you, but you need no one and you are deserving of no one. Couple that with the anxiety of if anything were to happen to you and you go missing, no one's coming to look. But you can't display any other emotion other than either utter calm or jubilation. And that doesn't just go for in the public or, as people will say, in mixed company. That goes for inside your family, inside romantic relationships. You aren't supposed to get upset. You aren't supposed to show hurt and pain unless it's hurt and pain and empathy for someone else. You can't complain. And I think the most irritating thing I heard today was in the webinar. Like, I had to travel around and I really needed to talk to the people to see what they need. Baby, you're black. You're just as black as me. There are those of us that have been talking to the people one on one, that have been educating the people one on one, that know what the people want because we are a part of the people. We haven't distanced ourselves because of status or anything else. We haven't forgotten, but we are over talked and overshadowed even within our own communities because people are drawn by who has the bigger numbers, who makes the flashier this, who makes the flashier that. And now you're beginning to see that for the longest time, a whole bunch of people were telling you a whole bunch of fucking nothing. But because they gave you a quick 45-second video and they danced through half of it, that's your favorite activist, right? Yeah. Because right after the election, and yeah, I'll hopefully have my live access back on TikTok in a week. Well, less than a week now. I asked people if they were in need of any mutual aid and if anybody was able to provide it. And there were some people who just needed someone to talk to, and they were paired up. Because at the end of the day, we do have to take care of one another. And we have to remember that. Because we can say it's gas prices, it's food prices, it's the cost of rent. We can say it's the cost. We can say it's all of that. But what it boils down to, and why there's so much divisiveness as to why everybody cannot unify under a party or a candidate or particular policy or plan, everybody is clamoring to be heard, to be loved, to be respected, to be accepted. And sometimes we just have to remind people. It might be just one or two of us out here that's going to do that for you, that can do that for you, that are genuine in doing that for you. But we got to start there. Be weary of some shifts that are about to come, but be mindful of the true shifts that are about to come, because a lot of people are about to be devastated. Where they thought they found belonging and acceptance, well, let's just say the leopards are going to get very gluttonous. Very, very gluttonous. Mm. Mm-hmm. And in closing, it is not necessary to walk into every room and be the contrarian. Number one. Number two, there is a time and place for everything. And by that, I mean self promotion. Three, if you have a concept or you have a cause, create a space for that and the dialogue in that. Stop infiltrating or trying to infiltrate other spaces to commandeer those spaces to try to co opt it or rebrand it for the sake of your cause or your idea or your theory. I need you all to learn from movements of the past. Why do you think the United States is not a completely dry country? All the temperance movement shit is because they tried to infiltrate women's suffrage, uh, and abolitionism, anti-slavery, all of these things to commandeer those movements to shift it and rebrand it, and that's not what those movements were set up for. Create your own spaces for that. Create your own spaces. And hopefully, if not the past year, at least this election cycle, and this election day has taught you why so many Black people say do not refer to us as BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color. Because at this point, I want you to consider something. What is BIPOC? Because it sure the hell isn't unity. Well, as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. And silence gives people time to think. When you give people time to think, that thinking can turn into building. And what is built may not include you. So keep that in mind. Till next time, y'all.